Boa, tropa. Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite pra geral. Bom, passando aqui só aquela atualizaçãozinha básica. Nós estamos indo agora pro Rasher Clube pra poder fazer a entrevista com a Mila. A galera do Rasher foi super receptiva. De última hora liberou o local pra gente poder fazer a entrevista. Se dispôs até abrir o clube mais cedo. Então estamos chegando lá pra fazer essa entrevistinha da hora e fumar umas cremas da galera do Rasher, beleza? Salve família, Chico Beloteiro na voz. Vamos aqui começar hoje, graças a já uma boa oportunidade para fazer a entrevista com a Mila Hash Queen, a rainha do hashish. Queria agradecer a todo mundo que está assistindo aí o conteúdo da gente, dar aquele suporte para ela, adquirir o livro dela também. Tem a versão em português, se vocês querem dar aquele suporte pro projeto dela. A Mila também tem vários produtos como Pollinator e a máquina de lavar para fazer os ice. Então, se vocês puderem dar suporte pro projeto dela, vou deixar os links aqui embaixo do site dela para vocês poderem entrar em contato e acharem tudo. E também se inscreve no canal, dá aquele like para te dar aquela força. Nosso conteúdo vai estar no YouTube, no Spotify e em vários outros canais, beleza? Então, vamos lá então. Those that doesn't really know much about you,
I
just
tell
want
something.
What?
I will tell something.
Yeah, just tell us like how did you because I want people also to go to your book, you know, because you have the book in Portuguese, so I don't want to give everything.
Yeah.
But what tell like a little bit how did you become the Hash Queen and what you think was the most important things that you did that make it a really difference, you know, to become who you are today.
Yeah. Okay. So
No, he's recording already. Don't worry.
Okay. So I'm Mila, and they call me the Hash Queen. And they call me the Hash Queen because I invented the first machine to separate all the trichome from all the plant material. So when you have the trichome separate and you press them, you have hash. Lo presto. And hash is what I like. So in a way, I invented the machine for myself so I could make my own hash. But we have a company now for 27 years, and we sell pollinators. This is a dry sift. I want to say something. If people are very much loving the taste and the smell, they should use the pollinator and have dry sift. Because we also have isolator and bubbleator, but both these systems use water and ice. And I think some of the terpenes and cannabinoids maybe get washed off a little bit from the outside of the trichomes. So the taste and the smell is less, but it's goddamn stronger. I like it best.
So you can say like your preference is more like for dry sift hash.
No, I prefer the water sift
The water
hash.
sift hash.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. And do you have any like kind of preference on what kind of products you like? If you could choose, like you could like organic, sun-grown, do you have preference like this?
I certainly would like organic, but I must tell you the best joint right now is this one.
Okay.
Because it's the one I'm smoking now. People often ask me this question, but all other joints are in the past or in the future. They're somewhere up in the cloud. This is the one that's happening now, so this is the best one.
That's the best one. The best one is the one that's smoking now. That's nice. I remember that. Always be blessed for the things you have and not for the things that you don't have, right?
Exactly.
Cool.
Accept what is happening, and you know, technically maybe it's not the best joint, but at this moment I have it. So for me it must be the best.
Cool. Sure. And you just smoke spliffs, right? You don't really smoke like pure hash or hash and flowers.
No, I started to smoke in 1964 in Amsterdam. At that time, there was no coffee shops in Amsterdam. There was no weed in Amsterdam. The only thing, you could go down to the harbor, and sailors would be coming from Lebanon, Pakistan, and they would sell the hash to the owners of the pubs, cafes. So you went down there and went to a cafe, and they asked, they got, and you could buy one matchbox full for something like $10 at that time. Yeah.
I read a little bit as well that you had like a skirt shop, right?
Yeah, I had a boutique before. Yeah.
What's inspired you to become to have this like this small shop? What was the motivation for you to start?
Well, when I was younger, of course, the interest to look good is much bigger than now. So to look good was so important that I started to make our own clothes. And in fact, when I had the boutique, I used to think, oh, if I don't have the boutique, how can I get what I like to wear? Anyway, it was a temporary thing. I had a very nice guy, Henk, and he designed them all. And he was a fabulous designer. In fact, after helping with the boutique, he went to Italy to work in the film industry with people like Fellini.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then we changed our shop into a tea shop. And many people think maybe it was the first coffee shop in Amsterdam. But in actual fact, we never sold anything. But people were traveling and bring some hash from Afghanistan. We would share it.
Okay.
Or maybe we would swap it. Maybe some guy from America is bringing something else. So, but we never sold it. So we're not a coffee shop.
No, not a real coffee shop at the time. Okay, that's fine. And like when you then after this project was ended because of like a lot of complaints with the police, I read a bit about it. You moved to Pakistan, right? To Afghanistan, right?
Well, we traveled to India, and on the way there, we spent time in Afghanistan. I saw also how they made the hash. Later on in India, I also saw how to make the hash. And I returned to Amsterdam after about 18, 20 years. I come back in Amsterdam. It's full with coffee shops, full with weed. So I think, I must try weed. Because in Afghanistan, northern India, people only smoke hash.
So all the time in Afghanistan, you were not smoking weed, not at all?
Never. Nobody smokes weed.
Nobody smokes weed?
No, in Afghanistan, they breed totally for making hash.
Okay, that's curious. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
But did you like work like in the farms or?
No, I just saw it. The family would invite us, and the guys would maybe be busy sieving.
Okay, so growing your own cannabis was not like never a thing for you. You always like get products from other people to work on your material.
When I came back to Holland in '88, I started to grow. I had 4 children. They have to eat 3 times a day.
Yeah, of course.
So you must have a good income.
That's 100%.
And at that time, Holland was very relaxed.
Okay.
So to grow was not such a bad idea.
And what was the style that you chose? You went for organic straight away?
No, we didn't. We had rock wool.
Rock wool, yeah.
Yeah, because we had to grow indoors. In Holland, the weather is not very good for growing weed outdoors. By the time it starts to get ripe, it's October, it's only raining.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah, I live in Holland once, and this guy can say it's rainy and very cold as well.
Yes.
And after that, like, how did you create the pollinator? Was in the 90s, right?
93, 94, we bought on the market. Yeah, because then when I came back to Amsterdam and all these coffee shops had weed, I tried. But I'd been smoking hash for 20 years. So the weed never really made it for me. So I preferred the hash. So then I'm there in Amsterdam. The only hash they sell in the coffee shops is from Morocco. I didn't like it. I was very spoiled. I get Afghani over there. It was the best. But I had seen how to make it.
So you knew.
So I thought, I'm going to make my own. I have the material. I'm growing. And I started like in Afghanistan on a flat screen and kind of doing with the material. And then one night I'm standing in front of the clothes dryer. You know where the clothes are tumbling and drying?
Yeah.
And I think, whoa, those clothes are doing what I'm doing, small scale.
Flowers, right?
So the next day we got a second-hand clothes dryer and we took out the heat. And I think we just knotted a piece of screen around the drum, threw in some material, and the crystals fell down.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how was like the develop for the first project? Like you draw yourself, or you went for some help with some friends?
I don't know. I made a picture. Well, we had the washing machine.
Yeah.
So basically, the first person to make it was copying the washing machine in small size and was made of plywood. It was very heavy. It was very primitive. And only later then we got really, because it was popular. We went around the grow shops in Holland and we would come with our pollinator and say, make some coffee, and we throw some material in the pollinator and they could see what was happening. So nearly everywhere we sold it. Yeah.
Nice.
So nearly everywhere in the shop we could sell them. So then we had to get a better production happening.
And I believe like most of the shops around Amsterdam would like be interested in your product and also in your machine, right?
Yeah, but we went more also up to Friesland and down to down south, Nijmegen, all these places we went, even down to Limburg.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what got it started. And then came a High Times, and suddenly the Americans saw it.
Okay.
And then really, yeah.
I see. I know like the bubble hash is not so popular like in America yet. Well, I don't think it will be because they are like claiming the dab is the future for them, and that's like a very strong thing. I'm not a huge fan of dab because I think it's too strong for me. You know, like I'm a more soft person. I'm kind of like you. I like joints. You like the hash, the spliffs. Right? I like just pure joints. I don't really smoke tobacco. I feel like very dizzy when I smoke tobacco. But you have like a lot of contacts across the globe in this industry, right? And I believe like you have taught a lot of people how to like Nika. I discovered Nika like a little bit before I knew you.
Yeah.
And then I was like, because I went to America and I met a guy and he's like, oh, I know this guy, Nika Chi, and he's like huge guy like here.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. We talked a little bit online and we're supposed to meet him like in the Spannabis as well.
Okay.
Yes.
He's coming.
We're gonna try to do like a short interview with him.
Okay.
But I was a huge fan and he said like, oh bro, but look for his teacher. His teacher is like the best one. He is best because she's the best, you know? So I think like you're like very popular around. And do you know like how many people have you taught how to like make hash and produce your own things around the globe?
Oh, I don't know how many, but I think a lot. Like I was in South America 4 years ago in different countries. We make a dabadoo. Usually it was quite small, and then we made again last year. There was many more people coming to the dabadoos, and the quality of the products they were making much better. So it's growing.
Yeah. I think it's a culture that's growing a lot, like the hash culture. I think there's a lot of benefits smoking hash, especially if you like vaporizing that. With the, a lot of products coming out, like the Pufico, like these brands are the Dr. Dabber. A lot of products like eliminate the combustion of the while you're smoking hash. So I think like a lot of people.
Yeah, but I don't like dabbing so much. It's like smoking a whole spliff in one go, and it's too much for me. If I have a joint, I can just put it down. If I want to smoke all, I can, or I just leave it. Yeah.
So dab is not a thing.
Not so much.
You think that will become like popular between like across all ages? Because I see like in Brazil now, we are having like a strong move against older people smoking. Like I have a couple of relatives that they were totally against weed, and nowadays they are smoking a lot. So
Yeah.
But I don't feel like they are really much into the joint thing. I have like gave the pen for my mom, and she was like, and she was totally against this weed, and she kicked me out of the house like a couple of times as well when I was young. So nowadays she's like, oh, yo, you can get me like some of these pens. And I was like, yeah. So like from where I am, I buy pens for her and I just leave at home. And I think like, and she's selling like, so for friends, so I think it's more.
I think, especially for old people, they get pains in their joints and everywhere. And that's the moment to introduce them because then they realize the benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
What are you smoking now? Satsuma.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try Satsuma
What is
Sherbet.
this one? Amarelo. This smells good. It's rough. Like grape. And then dark label. You got a nice selection here, huh? Oh, this is...
Yeah, very nice.
Did you try this one?
No, this is the first one I'm going to try. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Harsher selection.
Harsher selection from the Harsher Club.
Yeah. But I want to tell you something about making hash. I have some tips.
Sure. That's what everybody wants to hear,
Yeah.
you know.
So the first tip is the most important thing. Actually, 1, 2, and 3 important thing is the genetics.
Okay.
Because the genetics basically determine everything. You can have no good genetics and you can be so good at making hash, but because the genetics wasn't good, it won't do very much. So genetics is the most important. And then I find one of the other most important things is not to get greedy. For me, I don't care. You make it dry, you make it with water, you put it in another machine. People always want more.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what you collect more is what you didn't want.
Okay.
You know, with when making hash, I think when it looks under the microscope, it should look like caviar. Just little balls and nothing else. If you turn the pollinator too long or if you wash too long, the little sticks that the crystals are on will also come.
Okay, so you just want the heads.
You just want the heads because those little sticks don't contain nothing. Just, I think it's some kind of cellulose that they're made from, but they don't contain any cannabinoids at all. And then later, of course, comes the green, comes also because slowly, the leaves will also break up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have like any preference for your like when you shaking hash? You follow any kind of rule? I will like shake for 5 minutes first, or you go for like.
Yeah.
You have
for the first quality. If you are using first place, when you make hash, you should remember that if the water or the air around the pollinator is freezing, the crystals will be frozen. And the effect of this is that they will be hard like glass. If they are in the least bit warm, all that will happen is that they will stick to the next leaf and you cannot separate. So to separate these crystals, whatever method you use, make sure it's very cold. Yeah, and don't do too much.
But you hit like because I know I have seen like loads of videos online. There's a lot of content nowadays like how to make hash.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would say like, okay, the first round I would hit like for a minute.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, well that's what I was gonna. But then I got sidetracked.
No worries. I understand. Sometimes I do the same.
Yeah.
But because I see like a lot of people try to put the more rules like to just like understand how the machine, especially if you're using something like the pollinator or the tumble one.
I will describe a bit then. Pollinator is basically an empty box, and inside you will find around what we call the tumbler, and around that is the screen.
Yeah.
If you take the tumbler out, there's a lid at one end, and you can fill it with your material. The material you use for dry sift should be very dry. If there's any humidity in it, it will clog up the screen. So using the pollinator, the material must be very dry. Very cold, very dry. Then I think in 2-3 minutes you have a first quality. You can remove that and then continue maybe 5 minutes. You must see what is coming out. So long as it is very good, you can do it. But as soon as you see change calm, that the little sticks are in there, that the green, you should have stopped. So better the first time you stop every few minutes, so then afterwards you can look and say, 7 minutes, it was still very good. 10 minutes, it started to be worse. So then the next round you do, you can just do 7 minutes. It's always a matter of experimenting yourself.
Okay, so you have like some rules.
Each material is different.
So stopping and looking and a lot of light to make sure like you can have a good view of what the product you're removing.
Yeah.
It's okay. Some rules that's very important for us.
Yeah.
And like after that, you do some manual process with this material. Would you press or would you just keep like how it is like as a dry sift?
With the dry sift, you can just look under the microscope if you have one. If it's only little balls, then you're okay. Then you can just keep it. Otherwise, you can get some screen of a finer mesh, like in the pollinator is always 150.
Okay.
Because this will let through all the crystals. But maybe you think it's letting through some of the dust. So have a piece or a bag with 70, and then what comes out the pollinator you put in there, shake it a bit, and the dust will fall out and your end product will be purer.
So the product sticks to the top of the mesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The balls that are too big to go through the 70.
Okay, that's good. And about the bubble hush, you have like you follow the same idea. You heat for a couple minutes and then you just remove it, or you just would go longer with this.
The thing is with when you make it either as an isolator in a bucket or in a bubbleator in a washing machine, put plenty of ice in. The water should be about 4 degrees centigrade. So it can be just above freezing, but otherwise if it's completely zero, there's too much ice and it can't tumble.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it can't be that cold.
4 degrees is good.
Okay.
Also, some scientists told me one time at 4 degrees is the temperature that water is exactly 10 by 10 by 10 centimeters and weighs exactly 1 kilo. And afterwards it changes, and they told me this 4 degrees is the right temperature.
Okay, that's a good point.
And it works. So.
And do you still making hash? Or nowadays? Or you?
I help people making hash because now my life is such that I don't grow myself anything anymore. I travel too much, and yeah. So I can help other people. And with the isolator also, watch what is coming out. You can wash the material and then take it out through the other bags to catch the crystals. And we have different size bags. The most common size that we sell is 220, 70, and 38 micron. The 220 is for the material. The crystals will fall down. The bigger crystals remain in the 70 micron and the small crystals in the 38. And technically what is smaller than that is not the best.
Okay.
Yeah. I know in America they say the smaller the better. But if you would draw many little circles and the outside is cellulose and take away the cellulose, you have only very little bit of oil inside. If you have big crystals and take away the cellulose, you have much more oil in relative.
We see a lot of the kits that the companies sell online. They have like a lot of bags. So think like this is kind of like unnecessary nowadays, like for what people are looking for.
I think if you want to make hash for a competition, get the 7-bag set, get the 8-bag set. But if it's just for you, just get the 220, the 70, and the 38. And you will catch everything that's worthwhile. The 8-bag set only divides what you collect in the 70 and the 38 into 8 little piles.
It's a lot of much work.
Yeah, it's more work.
A lot of people in our podcast have comment about it. drying their products in a fridge. Have you used
Dry
this
fridge.
technique? No, not the dry freeze.
Oh, okay.
The
Oh,
normal
just to
one,
dry
because-
it in
yeah,
fridge.
just to dry, because like it's very hot in Brazil, so people like tend to find out how is the best way
Yeah.
to dry
dry,
the product
yeah,
without
yeah.
like
In the freezer, it will certainly dry. Make sure you don't put it in a bowl because it will take a long time to dry.
Okay.
And then in the meantime, in the middle, it can start smelling like urine, basically. So spread it out and let it dry. Then in the freezer, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you would grind that after. No, you put in the freezer and then you grind that, right?
Yeah, it depends. Actually, what I do, what comes out of the ice water method, I have just a kitchen what's it, sieve,
Yeah.
and I put it through there, and so it crumbles up because you don't want these big. Yeah, otherwise they got the big hard lumps. Yeah. So that's actually what I do, and then I spread what comes out this sieve on a piece of paper and just have it in a cool, dark place. It shouldn't have to. Don't make it a big heat where you're drying it. Like in the freezer or the fridge is fine.
And then you still using? Do you think like making the temple balls would be like how you would end up your product, or?
Yeah, usually people just press them and make a plaque.
Yeah, like so that's the way you prefer, right? Instead of keeping them as a sift like but because I see a lot of people
Yeah,
nowadays.
some people give the sift. Yeah,
Yeah, they just keep the sift, nowadays, and I think they are claiming that's like much better because when you heat pressing them, you're gonna lose like some terps, you're gonna lose some flavor because the if you smell the flavor in the air, because you're losing the flavor. That's what they claim. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I guess. I never thought about it like that. If you smell it, you're losing the flavor. Smell. Maybe.